Right, and we are discussing about how important this is for new Prime Minister Takaichi, but when it comes to U.S., what are the things that U.S. really wants from Japan when it comes to, trade or defense? What are the topics that Trump would actually want to look out for and need from Japan at this point when trade wars is taking place? What are the things that U.S. is looking for?
The U.S., as I mentioned, really wants more manufacturing. It wants Japan to buy more U.S. cars. And also in the sector of agriculture, which Trump has been very aggressive trying to push agricultural products on other countries. We know that he's tried to do that with India as well. He's going to try to do that with Japan as well, with the soybean and rice. And as I mentioned, the issue of semiconductors is going to be very important. But it's more about, how the two sides can really work out the tariffs. I think if the tariff deal is sort of resolved and it's not in this sense of limbo that it is right now, then the United States would walk out a lot more happier.
Right, and if you could also just help us understand this pickup trucks, they're very interesting, which was something that Trump had also mentioned earlier, that once they got off a call from Takaichi when Trump was on his way to Tokyo, they were talking about these pickup trucks. What are these pickup trucks, if you could just expound on that?
Yeah, the issue of, Japan trying to win over Trump is to try to buy these pickup trucks. The Japanese government is reportedly considering purchasing Ford F-150s. They were hoping to do this ahead of the visit from President Trump, but ultimately it again just goes back to that auto sector and how they sort of want to bring these American-made pickup trucks, which is sort of a symbol of American automaking, into Japan. And Japanese cars, itself, they're very popular around the world. So, Japanese brands like Honda, Nissan, and Mitsubishi, Subaru, they're sort of ubiquitous in the United States, where Japan exported over 1.37 million vehicles last year. So this will be very interesting. By contrast, Japanese brands account for more than 90% of new cars sold in Japan. So Japan has been importing fewer than 17,000 American vehicles just last year. So this will be a sort of a way to win over President Trump in a way.
Right. And of course, if you look at the backdrop of ASEAN, we just saw Trump actually pick up some good deals from South Asians out there. How are we looking at this whole strategy of Indo-Pacific? How is the world looking at that, or the West, rather?
Right. I think it's really important that Japan was Trump's second stop after Malaysia. There are sort of, you talk about the Indo-Pacific and these strong ties that the United States has, but you also can't underestimate this U.S.-China trade talks that Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has been talking about. As they meet in South Korea, the ASEAN meeting is going to be on the back burner. Of course, those deals that they sign is going to be on the back burner, but I think it'll be very interesting to see how the United States is going to navigate these relationships with the ASEAN countries on the one hand, and then, you have this big Xi meeting on the other.
Right, and we already know that U.S. has about 600,000 military personnel, and we also know that, according to reports, after meeting with Takaichi on Trump will be visiting the U.S. naval base in Yokosuka near Tokyo now, which is home to aircraft carrier USS George Washington. Now, when we look at these U.S. military power in Japan, we already know that there's 600,000 military personnel in Japan. What are the additional defense security that we are looking at when Japan looks forward to gaining in these meetings?
Right. Japan is definitely looking for security guarantees on the part of the United States during these meetings, and I think that we'll get a better understanding about what those security guarantees are, and really where Japan falls, and not only in the Indo-Pacific region, but also just in bilateral relations in terms of security as well. I expect that more announcements are going to be made and more details are going to be revealed on this, not only security guarantees, but the security contracts that they're going to make with one another.
All right, Susan, I would really want you to just stay with us. We have some live visuals coming in from Tokyo where we see Prime Minister Takaichi speaking. Let's cut up there.